Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last session of this page. So this particular track would be discussing an interesting topic with regard to the pandemic that the entire world has been grappling with, and how trust and secure collaboration is of paramount importance in these times. To discuss this particular session, I would like to invite Mr. Sameer Raji, General Manager and Head of India Zoom Video Communications. Welcome, Sameer. To moderate this particular discussion, let me invite Mr. Vinay Godse, Vice President, Data Security Council of India. Before I hand it over to Vinayak sir, so just to highlight the theme of the session, we have termed it as hybrid, the new disruption. Vinayak sir, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Aditya, and thank you, Sameer, for joining us today afternoon. So since last, I think February, March, we had been talking about this, and a lot of things had flown, right? In last almost 18 months that we had been in this particular situation. So let's try to first start with what had been your experience, because you are the one who had been really fueling and facilitating many of this particular disruption. So what you have seen started somewhere last year, February, March, and where it is now means how character it has been changed and what kind of realities that we are facing from now to what we see the next 4 or 5 years, how the world would be changing towards it.
Sure. Vinayak, thank you so much for having me here, and it's a pleasure to meet and interact with you, and also meet all the attendees who are part of this event. So thank you very much. Well, your question is very valid, and yeah, it's in this last 1 year, 1.5 year, if I may say, the entire dynamics have changed. People's minds have changed, and this year has probably left a lasting impression on everybody's mind, and for the good and for the bad. Bad, we don't want to remember, and we don't want to talk about it. I think we are putting behind our past and moving on. That's the good part of it. But if you look at the good aspect of this, the good aspect is in terms of technology, in terms of adoption, in terms of transformation, as we call it, right? So what has happened in this last year and a half is people, individuals, organizations, companies, everybody has adopted to a new format of communication, and that's the video part. So that's here to stay. Point number one. What has happened is, like many years back, Vinayak, I'm sure you'll remember, when we moved from a wired telephone to a mobile telephone, it was a completely different new technology that we had adopted. Today, you show a wired telephone to a child, maybe a 4-5 years, he'll get scared and say that, what kind of equipment is that, and how am I supposed to carry it if it is a phone? Yeah. Same thing has happened today. People tend to make a video call rather than an audio call. That was there before in the younger generation, but the pandemic has really forced even the senior citizens and the not tech savvy people to use video as a collaboration platform. Now, if you look at in the enterprise space or in the business sense perspective, a couple of things have happened. First, a lot of organizations which were a traditional kind of a setup and were not so technology favoring, they used to always wonder what will happen if I let my employees work from home. That's point number one. And to use a tool like Zoom or any video calling or any chat applications and collaboration platform, my productivity will drop. In 1.5 year, they tried it, tested it, and they have tested it very successfully, where people have started using it. Not only have the people seen the benefit, but the organizations have seen the benefit, where they realize, okay, productivity is up, costs are down, and why not adopt this? So obviously people are getting back to work, and everybody wants that. We want to get back to offices, including myself. I would love to meet my colleagues and spend some time with them, have a cup of coffee maybe. But are we really going to get back to 5 days, 7 days a week in office? That's not going to happen, probably, because we have enjoyed the fruits of working from home. We've enjoyed not traveling in the rush hour. We've saved ourselves the trauma of going through 2 hours one-way commute and spending that time frustrated in the traffic or finding a public transportation. We have tasted that benefit, and hence I think the hybrid scenario is here to stay, simply because employees have seen the benefit and the employers have seen the benefit. So hybrid is going to be the way forward.
So let's try to define this hybrid, right? So how would that be? Would there be like people will be going to work once in a week or once in a month? So how organizations are looking at, and what you are learning out of the trend that you are must be capturing while serving many organizations across the globe?
Sure. So I think one extreme end of the spectrum where I would like to share is one of the organizations which was we were talking to, and they were planning to roll out Zoom, and suddenly there was a conversation that hey, you know what, COVID is relaxed, and that was in beginning of the first wave had just subsided down, and offices were opening. They said that, look, we are planning to get back to work. Immediately they lost more than 40 to 45% of their workforce because they refuse to come back to offices, because people have gone back to tier 2, tier 3 cities. They don't want to come back, pay the high rent again, and so on and so forth. So they're finding they want that flexibility to work from remote locations, or maybe remote towns and villages, save on money. So, to answer your question, well, there is no mathematical formula. I think we are still in a stage where organizations are still trying to find out what works best for them, right? There are organizations who are trying to say that, okay, 30% occupancy. Somebody is saying that, okay, all those employees who have been vaccinated properly, they can start coming back to work. Somebody are saying that, okay, we will have an alternate shifts where, this 30% comes on Mondays, the other 30% comes on Tuesdays, and so on and so forth. So I think all organizations are trying that mix and match method, and are trying to still find what is best for them, what is best suited for them and their employees. And it is more now about the employees and the kind of safety for the employees, right? Rather than calling them and putting them at risk. It is all about the employees today. So I think we are still at a stage where we are trying to find what fits best for all the employees, and probably the organizations will decide over a period of time.
And I was recently reading an article, which we usually talk in terms of the enterprises, but I was recently reading a series of article which is guiding employees what to choose and how to choose. Basically, means if you have to choose one day in a week, so which day they should be choosing? They have to choose 2 or 3 days in a week, so which day should be taken? There are a lot of guidance which is coming for employees as well. Um, so now the overall this reality, right? And the initially we all tried ki this will be momentary phenomena, then again we settled down with this one, then again second wave came, and moment we started, we also tried to open an office in the month of March, and but again third wave, the second wave really hit us all, and then we're talking about third wave, and probably there has been discussion about this pandemic that this will keep coming, and probably even after the vaccination you will still get infected. Basically, in this reality, lot of those changes are happening, right? And changes would have happened, so you must have thought something last year, but the platform must have also gone to a lot of those evaluations as well. I've seen the Zoom or many other platforms are evolving more like a platforms which can adopt many new solutions as well, right? Many new innovations as well. So tell us how these new innovations are now being accommodated into the platform, something like Zoom had been working on.
Sure. I think what again the last 1 year has done to the collaboration platforms across the world, not only Zoom, is tremendous. We have to innovate at a breakneck speeds, and try to bring in more features and functions which are in line with the current demand. I'll give you an example, right? So we heard from the schools where students are spending a lot of time on their cameras, and what happens is they tend to look at what the other child is doing and what my friends are doing, and so on and so forth, and they're focused less on the teacher. So we brought in focus feature where the student is able to focus only on the teacher and not on the other students, right? So something like that, we had to innovate and bring that. Similarly, there were talks of, and there are still talks of getting hybrid mode. So what are we doing in the hybrid model? Just imagine, you set up a virtual receptionist who, there is no person out there, a visitor comes in, the visitor interacts with the virtual receptionist, checks the temperature, and if the temperature is right, can enter into the offices. That's built into the collaboration platform now. Similarly, the visitor goes to a waiting lounge. On the waiting lounge, he or she decides, how many people are there in the waiting lounge. Uh, Based on the social distancing norm, does he or she enter into the conference room? Similarly, at the back end, the IT and the administrator is looking at what are the CO2 levels in the conference room. Now, this is all part of the collaboration platform, building in AI and so on and so forth, right? So we are trying to bring in more and more hybrid features and functionality, starting off meeting without touching the devices. When you get into a conference room, hey Zoom, start a meeting, right? You can kickstart a meeting even without touching any device to avoid the touch and spread of whatever the ill feelings, if I may say that. And then beyond that, there are a whole lot of things. So the list is endless. And in the last 1 year, 18 months, we've been on the front foot, trying to hear from our customers, trying to listen to our participants and see what they really want. And what they want today probably is going to change tomorrow, because once they're back in offices again, I'll tell you what, there is something like uh, you know augmented reality. For example, there will be three people sitting in a room and you want to see them on a screen. Well, seeing them congested in one screen is fine, but if you have an individual focus, one single camera can pick up and project that. That's amazing, right? So that's an augmented reality. We've brought that. And again, this is one aspect of the spectrum, which is in terms of features and functionality. But on the extremely other end, there is another aspect of the spectrum where the industries are heading towards. Like, for example, we spoke about education, right? Kids, teachers are one thing, but what about the institutes? They want to record attendance. They want to record, or integrate what is going on in the learning management systems. Similarly, in healthcare today, offering healthcare facilities or consultation in a remote area is one aspect, but integrating it with the hospital management system itself is another aspect. So on the other end of the spectrum, what we are doing is we are allowing software developers or platform creators to integrate Zoom into their platform or embed Zoom into their own applications. So while you might be using an application for hospital management system and conducting a video consultation with your doctor, at the back end there is Zoom and you won't even know about it, right? So that's the beauty of it. So that's the other extreme, and that has all been happening over the last few months, and you will see the more evolution of this platform, collaboration platform, as we go ahead.
Yeah, and then I was really all of the platform, including Zoom, is now increasingly making it available, and a lot of third-party applications are being built. And there are a lot of couple of startups I recently made and how they are building on top of the Zoom or Teams or many other collaboration platform. So in a way, because this challenge is so big and so complex and so fast, right? So and a lot of those use cases which can be built by many other small startups as well, which is quite a good change that I have seen in this platform. Zoom had it, but probably scaled up in last 7-8 months time, basically.
Absolutely. So
But
our strength is collaboration. See, and it there are other experts who are already experts in, let's say, a CRM or a hospital management system. Doesn't make sense for us to get into that, but
yeah.
we excel in providing collaboration services. So that's the best way to do it in integration with other applications.
But there is another sometimes I still have this problem is the very small thing needs this video call, but only video call is not something that we do, right? So in the conference, for example, if you have to get a team together or any CISO has to get team together and deliberate on something, put a lot of those kind of a whiteboarding session or do a mind mapping exercise or so many things that we do in the conference room. So how the platforms are now evolving to take care of the productivity requirement of a particular room as well?
Absolutely, that's a great question, Vinayak, and that's where Zoom's strength comes in. If you look at Zoom is probably the only organization and platform which is purely collaboration centric, and for us, video is the base, and everything else comes later on, and that's our strength. So everything revolves around video, and everything revolves around video collaboration. We built everything around it. So whether be it whiteboarding, so Zoom is a complete collaborations platform, and rest of the things are plugged into it. So if you look at Zoom as a collaboration platform, we got instant messaging, we got webinar, we got whiteboarding, we got integration into devices, Zoom events, Zoom apps. So all these things are plugged on top of the base application of which is the video, and that's what. So if you are, let's say, in a conference room, let's look at an instant messaging. You have a chat channel where you have 50 people, where the CIO or CISO or CEO can broadcast a message. That's where it starts off. or start a video call at a touch of a button. He or she might be in a large video conference room, write something on the video whiteboard that gets captured in the meeting actually, right? And that can be stored somewhere as a form of this. Then you have a recorded access and so on and so forth. So it's a complete collaboration platform, not just a video calling app. And if I may say that we are specialists when it comes to collaboration, and that's our strength. So we are like those specialist commandos of collaboration world. Well, there are lots of platforms available in the market, but Zoom probably is only one of the collaboration platform which is only focused on collaboration and nothing else. We don't do content, we don't do anything else. We just provide you the means of collaborate, be it instant messaging, be it video, be it a large meeting rooms, be it events, be it webinars, be it application. That's what our strength is.
And I really like, I use Miro a lot for the lot of collaboration that I do, because Miro allows me to do so many things, right? From almost hundreds of the templates they have, and I can remotely do, right from product design to mind mapping to wireframing, so many things I can do with Miro. And I was pleasantly surprised to see the integration of Miro with Zoom, basically. And I could do a lot of those things which I used to do in a small meeting room with my team member. And that's what productivity wise things are definitely these integrations and a lot of new solutions coming in, really helping somebody who is managing teams, and somebody is worried about the productivity, somebody is worried about the creativity coming out of the meeting, basically. But at the same time, when you must be dealing with this, and a lot of your customers must be talking to you about it, is the fatigueness, right? So video is fatigue exercise. It's a small thing I would do in my physical premise. Just by talking to employee, I need to have a specific formal call set up for that. So how do you see your experience of the fatigueness of your clients or their employees, basically? So do they come to you, and is there anything that you do to solve fatigueness, actually?
Well, I will answer your question in two parts. The first part is, we spoke about Zoom as a specialist for collaboration, and when you are on a racetrack, you need a race car to ride, right? So that's what Zoom is. Now, when you drive a race car or you are in a NASCAR rally continuously for X number of days, you get tired, and no amount of, I would say, virtual element is going to replace the human element, right? The human touch, the human interaction. It has to be there. It has to be there. And we will all have to go to back to offices. We will want to have those coffee conversations and so on and so forth, and we all look forward to it. What we do for fatigue, and what we like, let's take an example of Zoom itself, right? What we do internally, like for example, we have a Wednesdays. We have a no internal meeting day on Wednesday, so we don't hold any internal meetings on Zoom or any platform anywhere. We don't collaborate internally on one particular day in the week. That's the kind of thing that we need to do to reduce fatigue. Similarly, we have been living in the virtual world now. If you ask me today, more than 80% or 90% of my team, 80 to 90%, has been hired in the last 6 to 8 months, right? And I have not met them in person. How surprising it is. We get together probably once in a fortnight or something like that, and the conversation at that time is nothing official. We try to have a conversation which is all non-official. We would probably sit with a drink in our hand and have a general chit chat, bring our pets, bring our families together, bring the kids along, meet them, greet them, and talk to each other about it. That's the way, because still we are not out of danger. We've still not reached a stage where we can go out and meet each other. So that is what we try to do. And we've heard a lot of things from a lot of organizations that they're doing on Zoom platform, and I would encourage those activities to continue till the time at least we are in a safe environment.
Yeah. And just one last leg of the question, because we are probably nearing to the end of this session, is because this is at the end of the day, we are discussing the context of security, all of these things, right? And use of such platform, but the security is definitely important apart from that perspective. And other perspectives, this remote, hybrid, borderless work culture raises a lot of those security issues and privacy issues as well, right? And so how you had been dealing with the concerns of a security working remotely, that's one part. And Another part is the privacy, means privacy of the conversation, privacy of the individuals which are conversing, and there are a lot of those intelligence also coming for you to really observe the behavior of the people who have been looking at the videos with camera. So how do you addressing both of these concerns?
Well, I think forget about the work environment, forget about everything else. Given the amount of cybercrime rise worldwide in this pandemic time, I think all of us need to be cognizant of the facts of what we are doing on internet, on our devices, be it personal, be it official. Now, whether it's a 10-year-old child, or whether it's a office going colleague, or whoever it is working on a device, we need to understand that there are three elements when it comes to security. First is the human element: what you click, what sites you visit, and even a phishing attempt by an email and clicking unknowingly or knowingly on those links can pose you a huge challenge. The second is in terms of the devices itself, right? So devices need to be protected, whether it's a personal device or it's an official device. They need to be protected to a very large extent, and from day one, right? Even when the employee comes on board, from day one, it needs to be protected. And the third is the application part, whether you are using a collaboration platform, or whether you're using a robust ERP system, or whatever it might be. Each of these three elements will have a chunk, or will be exposed to security threat somewhere on the way. And it is how the application, how the device protection, and the human element are abreast of the day-to-day information and what's happening in the cyber security world, how the CISOs are handling it, and the do's and don'ts is what it is. Finally, I think there is a lot more increased responsibility, and what we don't talk about is the CIOs and the CISOs, or the technology people of the organizations who have faced a massive brunt in this last year and a half, because they had to not only adapt to this new change, but also ensure that everybody is in a secure world and keep them in a secure world. Now that was very difficult to do, especially when employees were working from home. They couldn't be watched, they couldn't be on the same network, and were free to use probably tools of their choice when the official tools were not working, right? So the security team as well as the technology team faced a massive brunt and adopted very well on this one. And I think the applications need to be robust enough to be able to deliver industry specific, organization specific security. So like if I have to talk about the collaboration thing, right? Now, if you look at Zoom, it has got so many security protocols in it in terms of administrative features. The IT team can set it. For a banking sector, it could be different. For a manufacturing setup, it could be different. And for ITS, it could be different. There are tons and tons of features, like from single sign-on to how a person logs in to restricting the person's participation. But you know what? That needs to be set right at the initial stage, and the users need to follow that. So to answer your question, I think it is the our brothers and sisters and the colleagues of ITS world, and who the technology team and the CISO teams who have faced the brunt, and it is the devices, it is the applications, and finally the human element of doing something wrong on wherever you are on the internet or whatever. So I think these elements are key to keeping an employee secure. And a final message that I would like to put on security is one thing: while we are working from home, or whether we are attending, a child is attending a school, even that child has suddenly become and has to play a role of a CISO of his or her own home office, because he or she needs to understand that if he or she is going to click on some wrong link, that's going to be a big problem, not only for himself or herself, but for the entire family or the entire organization.
Yeah, and just to really talking largely about security and how most of your client and most of the people, individuals as well, using the Zoom platform, dealing with the security and privacy. But Zoom itself is a product or platform, right? And there are a lot of issue that you must be dealing with when you are talking about the overall security protocol and security of Zoom. So because we have largely, and we can conclude with this question, basically we are largely security community here. So what you do as a Zoom to secure your product basically. So what kind of product security or platform security measures that you adopt so that your product is robust and is being used all across the globe, and there are millions ways the Zoom is used, and there could be some ways which could probably create potential problem for Zoom platform as well. So what you do to secure this product and platform that Zoom offers?
Well, absolutely. So that's again good question. So point number one, we've been through a lot, and our growth, which was unprecedented when the pandemic hit, I think we've also learned a lot of lessons, and we've also adapted quite a lot to that. So first and foremost, we have our Cso panels, which is a panel of security people of who's who of the industry. Uh, we have Cso councils from whom we interact and learn every single day, every single week, every single month. So we have a Cso council who recommend, and these guys are these guys come from the industry. They are CISOs themselves in some good large enterprises themselves and are doing great things. So first is the CISO Council, which has its recommendations and puts the platform to test and come back with lots of feedback and so on and so forth. Then we have third-party, validators and third-party testing agencies, and also then we have certain other programs like the bug bounty programs and so on and so forth. Right. So we continue on that, and our own security team interacts with all these at all these three levels and ensures that we not only incorporate the suggestions of the users, CISO council, the third-party evaluators, but also always keep a lookout for any bugs or anything coming in or security threats coming in proactively.
Yeah, and I think with this probably would like to conclude the discussion today, but that's the good, interesting discussions. I mean, talking about the evaluation of how the this hybrid ecosystem has evolved until now and not where exactly it will be going, and more importantly, how the you see from the one of the key enabler of this disruption, basically the issues of security, privacy, productivity, and many other areas that we touched upon, and also the contribution that you are making to the overall security fraternity with respect to the innovations that are going in terms of helping or probably guiding or telling the world that this is something you should be doing about the product security and platform security as well. Having challenge for security, you have really emerged a very robust player across the globe, and thanks for sharing those experiences here. It means we can conclude with your last concluding remark and this particular session.
Thank you, Vinayak. It was a pleasure interacting. As a concluding remark, I would say that the world has probably turned upside down in the last 1.5 years. We have transformed. I think technology transformation and adoption has been huge in the last 1 year. What drove or what increased collaboration or adoption of collaboration tools, especially in a country like India, I think it was the COVID is what I would say. We have gone from being a non-collaborative platform country to a country which is now heavily relying on collaboration platforms like Zoom. And I think uh, from an industry perspective and if I have to take a completely disjointed view and talk about the country level, I think this brings in a very unique opportunity for us in the country, because if we continue to use these platforms, just imagine what we can do for those remote areas, villages, and towns. Point number one, healthcare system can be improved in those far-flung remote areas. That's point number one. Point number two are metro cities which are busting to the seams, right? We can reduce our population and go back to those cities where populations are less and where we really belong to, right? And that's the key to the success of our country, and that's what fortunately our government is also focusing on. And I would say that we should continue to uh, implement this more strongly. That's what my
Yeah. And thank you, Samir, for joining us today. And thank you, overall Zoom team, for being with us for last 2 days in this particular event. We'll keep engaging and collaborating because this disruption is here to stay, and issues emanating out of it will be here to stay. And being a leading player in this area, we'll keep talking, keep engaging with the Zoom India team, and also working closely with you on some of those policy matters which are shaping the entire this collaboration industry as well.
Thank you, Vinayak. Thank you. And thank you to all the entire DSCA team. Thank you.